Man, amazing things happen when you bring people together, the right people together, and it's just like, whoa. And I feel like that's kind of been a theme over the past year and a half or so. Like, bring the right people together and incredible things happen. And I'm just getting teary over it all over again. Like, gosh, it's just people are amazing. We have some really incredible people. Literally getting teary over this. Somebody else go, please.
I am grateful for my daughter who makes me smile every day and who I have good conversations with. I'm also grateful for what could be obstacles, but I'm taking them as learning opportunities with challenging clients. How's that? So that's my gratitude. And the weather's cool.
Nobody tells you that there's only one way to become an amazing agent. There's only one way, and it's with clients like that. That's the only way you become an amazing agent by figuring out how to work with the hardest deals and people. They don't tell you that in school. There'd be a lot less agents in the industry. So here's to being amazing.
I'm thankful for my team and I'm thankful that we got an office space and I'm thankful for the closing today.
Whoop whoop.
I am thankful for my first, I wouldn't say my first close. I don't know. It's Michelle's closing, but I was a showing assistant. So I'm grateful for that and the opportunity to learn through that. So
That's awesome.
Are you part of the transaction?
yes.
Welcome to your first closing.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Own it.
Thank you.
It's real now. Now you can feel confident when you say real tour. It's real now.
There we go. There we go.
Awesome. Awesome.
Tracy, I think you're next. And on Fridays, we get
Everyone gets to
to,
go.
yes, everyone gets to.
I got no choice, huh?
No choice.
Well, I am grateful for several of these women that are in here who have um, helped me through my first 3 years in real estate and are helping me get things put together for a more impressive future. So I'm very grateful for that. And I am just grateful also for getting up today, being here on time, and just being excited about what Friday and the weekend holds. So I'm grateful for that. So thank y'all.
Great to see you.
I am just grateful for a very productive week. Um, just lots of moving pieces in all areas of business from the team side and personal business side. So just excited for a wonderful week.
Brad made it just in time. Logging in on his burner account.
I like your mom.
Sorry. I had two closings on Wednesday, and I got a listing going live shortly. So I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, buddy. What's that get you so far for 2025?
Uh, I think that's nine closings, and then I have two listings that'll close in May, and then I got a listing going live, yeah, this weekend, and then one next weekend. So,
That's awesome.
So you'll have
yeah,
11 closed before
yeah, I
June?
should. Yeah, I should. Yeah. And I know when we originally talked about goals in January, I talked about capping in August. And I think I'll cap in beginning of probably the end of May, actually. Middle of May, I'll probably cap. So
Bam.
That's so
yeah,
awesome.
We need an
getting
applause
it done.
sound effect.
Yeah.
Nice work, buddy.
Thanks, man.
Good stuff. Awesome. All right. What are we talking about today? What are we doing? Is it
Mom,
still part of challenge week?
it is. Mama actually had a challenge come up yesterday too that I thought would probably be it would be a good discussion because I feel like this could come up from time to time. Mom, do you want to share?
Okay, I will. This is my challenging learning experience. And all the time that I have been in real estate, which Audra tells me is almost 10 years, which I find that hard to believe. Anyway, I have never had to negotiate for my commission or work for free or anything like that. I've been very, very fortunate that people just get it and don't question it. So I was visiting with a couple yesterday, and Audra, um, Audra handed them off to me, basically. Anyway, I go to just look at the house, all the things, and they said, "We got some questions." I'm like, "Okay." Well, their neighbor has family members moving from Utah, and they want to buy the house. There's two family members, two different transactions, and I'm like thinking, "Okay, that's great." Well, here's the deal. Can you put in special provisions that if we bring you the buyer, we will pay you for your photography and then 2% on the buy side if you represent them? And I know my face was like, WTF, I'm like, so I was like, not sure how that's going to work. I've never had anybody uh, talk to me like this or about it, this situation. I said, so if they come in and somebody else represents them, are you willing to pay the 3% for a buyer's agent? No, we just want to pay 2% and your expenses for having the photographer come out. I said, let me think about this. I was still in shock. I couldn't come back with, I don't work for free. I know you wouldn't want to work for free,
It's
but
your listing?
yes.
Okay.
So, yeah, I will be revisiting them this morning after this conversation.
Okay.
But they feel like, well, we're bringing the potential buyers. They're not 100% sure that they're going to be the buyers, but they feel very strongly. So they're like, we're doing your job. They didn't say that, but that was the impression. If you're just paying me for my photographer, why am I here? So, yeah.
Or they're saying that's what they want to pay you total.
What they want to pay me total on the listing side is for the photography. And on the buy side, if I represent those clients, 2%, since they're bringing the clients. So I'm like, that's a lot.
Okay.
I make nothing here.
So let's just kind of circle back. Like let's kind of pull back. And so I know like immediately once our commission comes into question, it feels like an attack on our value. Right. So I understand. I instantly like I bristle up as like, hold on a second. Now like ego goes to 10 and my defenses are like full blast. So let's kind of set that aside and then just kind of come from curiosity. Think about this. Do consumers actually know what we do? And how good of a job are we communicating to consumers what's truly behind our fiduciary? For instance, buyers are like, I don't need an agent. I can just go directly to a seller because they think our job is only to open a door. Sellers go, well, if I bring a buyer, I just did your job. When they don't realize that's not 9% of the entire transaction. So the question that then I would have to ask myself, like, if this is coming up and if this is the first time this is coming up, so it's a great opportunity for you to go, okay, where in my listing presentation do I really walk them through the life of a transaction and address all the things I do after a buyer has identified the property as one they want to write an offer on, and where do I really bring in the value? In managing all the parts, the timelines, the contingencies, the negotiations, the due diligence periods, the communicating effectively with title, communicating with the other agent, coordinating documentation, making sure compliance is all in check, making sure that the sellers also have a list of the moving things and how to get things going, and making sure that we can coordinate. Like, where in my presentation am I spending enough time really outlining all this? And then I would even say, before I got into real estate, I used to think that the hardest part of the job is to find a buyer. In fact, that's the easiest part. The hardest part is getting it closed. The hardest part is getting it closed on time. It's even harder to get it closed on time on your terms. And that's what you pay me for. Right. Like if it was just nice photos and having somebody walk through, then every for sale by owner would be sold. Then every home on the MLS would never expire. Would you agree, Mr. and Mrs. Seller? So congratulations for bringing a buyer. And, fair enough. Like if they're easy and it's a piece of cake, we can have a conversation about the compensation. But you signed a listing agreement that said this. I mean, that's one of the ways that I would probably address, and then go back to my presentation, go, okay, I need to insert a page in my listing presentation that gets real clear. And I want to almost over communicate what we do all throughout the transaction.
Well, they have not signed the listing agreement yet because they want me to put this in special provisions. He kept going back to, I need you to put this in special provisions. And I feel like he has a mom or somebody that's an agent somewhere that's kind of coaching him behind the scenes. And yeah, so I'm like, okay, I will get back with you tomorrow.
Let me ask this question. Okay. So, all right.
Audra,
So
feel
they have
free to come
a
in.
pocket buyer, basically, is what they're saying.
Possibly not 100%, but
Okay.
they
When
think
do they plan on going on the market?
as soon as I get the pictures done, Monday.
Okay. And then what currently is going on in your market as far as if a house comes on priced correctly? Are you guys starting to see multiple offers or starting to see a lot of activity?
It's picking up. Yeah.
Okay. So what would be an appropriate amount of time to see what the market says the property's for?
I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay. Because I had this happen on an estate property where the neighbor wanted to pay cash for what was going to be our list price, but I believe we were going to go way above list. And so when they came to me and they said, well, the neighbor wants to pay this. And I said, so, okay. I said, what do you guys want to do? Like, is it important just to get done quickly or do you want to make the most of this? And they're like, well, we really want to make the most. I said, okay, let's do this. I feel like if we price it right, we'll know within the first 5 days whether or not we're going to be able to do way better than your cash price. So if I looked at their cash price plus commissions, I said we need to get a contract of at least. So we were going to be listing at 300, and then the neighbor came in and they wanted to pay 300 cash. Brad knows his property. He was there. He was one of the 128 showings that first weekend. And so what I said is, let's exclude the neighbors from the listing agreement. And if we can't get an offer of 319 or better, which was 6% above 300, and I said, if we can't get an offer of 319 or better, then let's sell it to the neighbors. And if you just want me to do the paperwork, here's my price for that. Cool. So I'm sweating a little bit, going, shoot, did I just lose this? Well, sure enough, it ended up selling for 360. So they could have taken 300 But because of just having a conversation and not being like super upset that like they just want to sell it to the neighbor for free. And I'm sitting here going, shoot, right? I'm like, well, let's let the market see what this is. And so like put in contingencies that would say really what is it like, how much is your time and effort worth at a certain amount, et cetera. But I mean, if they've got a pocket buyer coming in and they're willing to do 2% for you to just kind of transaction manage the deal and they'll pay for your marketing, you got to ask yourself, okay, if you do a great job for this seller and this buyer coming in, how many referral opportunities are there potentially through this if we don't turn it adversarial? And we go and like, hey, you know what? I'm going to work with you. However, I might even say this is like, listen, I don't do this for everybody. So can I count on you this year to help us grow? And the fastest way that we can do that is number one, 5-star reviews and referrals. Can I count on you for keeping us top of mind for that? And you may end up, who knows what it looks like on the other end.
Yeah.
With that. But then the other side of the question is, okay, this is what the listing fees are. And if somebody else brings a buyer, these are still going to be my listing fees. Are we contributing to commissions on the buy side or no? And if no, then okay, then we'll just need to communicate with this other agents. That's just kind of that's my angle. I'm open. I'd love to hear everybody else's take on this as well.
So I'm rolling hot off of listening to the Full Fee Agent, which if you guys haven't listened to that, they address specific situations like this a lot. They talk about like, are you the fool or the favorite? Discounting your commission up front and give you all kinds of like just a different perspective on things. But what I would do, Anne, is just get curious and say, like it might be, a little difficult to go back on this, but I think you could still go, have the conversation with him. Like it sounds like, right? They always talk about like sounds, feels like you're kind of just tapping into you understand them, right? So it sounds like to me, saving you money is important to you. Like just asking those questions in a way that's like tapping in and I hear you. But then I agree with Matt on like I wouldn't accept that as like an overall deal. It's very, if it's a done deal, if they can, maybe even just agreeing like if this buyer writes before this time, then that's something
As is with no
about.
contingencies.
Right. But I would lean on that like, if you say it sounds like saving money is important to you, and then maybe even asking a question, is it more important for you to save money or to net the most amount of money? Because those are two different things, right? You can save money and go with a deal, kind of like what Matt just talked about. Maybe you're going to get a higher offer. So I think just getting them to think through it themselves, but saying those words that are helping them understand that I hear you, I hear what you're saying, and I understand you. But and then I think if you go down into if you're having that discussion about not just extending beyond this one buyer, but like everything needs to be that price, then I think you can pull out those scripts around, well, would you want an agent that is willing to like would you want an agent that's willing to cut their fee up front? If I'm going to negotiate my fee up front, wouldn't that mean that maybe I wouldn't be willing to negotiate as hard? I'm not saying it the right way, right? But like if I'm willing to cut my fee up front, then doesn't that indicate that I'm not willing to necessarily negotiate and fight as hard for you on the back end? So I think tapping into those things and helping them just kind of see the full picture versus it being about this is what I always do, this is my process, whatever. Just building that rapport and tapping in, building that trust. And really the way you build that trust is making them feel seen and heard, but not giving in.
Well, their relationship and trust is more with Audra. So, but they are, trusting me because Audra said, my mom will take care of you. And basically,
What's keeping you guys from coming back in together as a pair?
We can do that.
Yeah, just And then Audra, if you want to play the bad guy
I can do that.
and just say, we'd love to, but here's why we can't. And this is
Yeah.
why, right? And Anne would love to do this, but we can't do that actually. Or, yeah, I mean, just I would say come together. Two are better than one on this one. Yeah, there's no reason why you can't come back and manage and maintain the relationship, and then make the right business decision for you guys based on the situation, right? There's no one size fits all. And I really like, I'm a little reticent to just go into like all black and white. And there's a lot of coaches that are like, oh, show your worth and blah. It's better to have nothing than to discount everything. And I'm like, not always. And it all depends. Like it depends. Everything, it just depends. Right? Sometimes it's about doing what's right. And you only like you just gotta figure what that is for you. And also just know your worth. If you're going to do something at a discount, do it because you choose to, out of an abundance mindset versus scarcity. Because if you do it out of scarcity, you're only going to be attracting discount opportunities.
We'll chat some more here in a shortly, Mom.
Okay.
Yeah, like we can absolutely come back together.
Word. Any other thoughts, guys? Quiet group today.
No one's having challenges. They're just all rocking it.
So it must be so easy out there.
So easy.
Real estate's so easy. Everybody should do it.
Business falling from the sky, right?
It's like cheesecake and custard. It's easy. It's delicious.
I had an interesting one with our multiple offer situation last week too. One of the buyers got really upset that he didn't win and he knew his offer was higher. Like they had a mutual connection through the seller. And he's like, I know my offer was higher, and just having to talk through, well, I couldn't talk through anything with him because I don't represent the buyer, but man, just calling everybody and having to talk to like my broker, and my broker had to talk to his broker, and him calling me like by different numbers trying to get in and think somehow he was going to get this original contract that they signed canceled was quite an adventure. I don't think I've ever had that one before where a buyer that lost an offer called me and was a little aggressive. So,
And read you the riot act?
he did not like the answer when I said, I hear that you're upset and I appreciate where you're coming from. However, I cannot talk to you about anything in this transaction because I represent the seller. If the seller gave me permission to, then I could, but you have an agent, you need to go back to your agent. And he did not like that. He did not like that whatsoever.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Well, some people just haven't been corrected enough in their life.
Well, and I will admit, like, I'm a people pleaser. I like to I'm always one that tries to find a solution for people. And so it was really hard for me to put up that boundary. But at the end of the day, I mean, we have a fiduciary responsibility to our client, not to the other clients. And so there are times where you have to let someone down. There's just no choice.
Exactly. Let's not forget who we work for. And that's the client, not the other agent.
That's something I run into a lot. People, maybe especially here because we're a smaller market, smaller community, and people are like, "Oh, well, I talked to so and so and we're going to make it work." Like the other agent, we're going to do this for her and blah blah. I'm like, "Wait a second. That you don't work for that agent. You don't have to bend to what they say, always remembering who you work for." And sometimes it might make people a little prickly, right? Or ruffle some feathers, but you have to protect your client.
Yep.
And you can still do it in a kind way that honors the other agent and is respectful, but you don't have to just bend to the other agent because that agent's, man, do you know who they are? Like they sell so many houses and they're so amazing. I've just got to do what they say.
Well,
No.
I love just calling those agents out whenever they try to ask for something that's outside the lines. And I just kind of laugh and I'm like, listen, I can't answer that question.
Yeah.
You know that that's out of line. And I just kind of laugh and I'm like, ha 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 ha. You know that that's BS. I can't, you know better than this.
Yeah.
And then let him get all huffy and hang up. Like, I don't care. Man. I don't work for you, bro.
My favorite line is, I so appreciate you fighting hard for your clients. I
Yeah.
would, you know what?
Hey.
More power to you for trying to get more information. I know some agents will give that to you, but
You
you
know,
know,
good for you. I respect your passion. Good for you. Good for you. And I'm still not answering that question. Good luck. Write your best offer. Yeah, and it's a good one. That's a good one. Cause look, I've done in the past, I've done what I was trained to do and what I was uh entitled to do, and I lost it all and I made nothing. And my broker's like, you stood up for yourself. And I'm like, meh, okay,
Feels good.
okay. Uh there could have been another option, but it wasn't like it, but it wasn't their money, right? And so this is where you just have to just like kind of go in your heart and go with like have a brain and heart convo, have a brain and heart conference call, and then have a brain heart Zoom, and then decide, and then just be confident and comfortable with whatever your decision is.
Got it.
and if you have time before this call, I'm serious, download the audiobook Full Fee Agent and listen to chapters 3 and 6.
Is that Voss doing that? Is
Yeah.
that yeah, okay.
And
I thought that was
it's not like, I loved Never Split the Difference. And I know Alan has probably said 50 times on our calls, you should listen to Full Fee Agent. And for whatever reason, the other day I was like, oh, I'm going to do that. I need to switch my book. And I've been listening to it. I've had a lot of driving lately. And I was just like, I needed this when I started.
there you go. Cool. All right, y'all. Happy
Okay.
Friday.
We'll make a post so you guys can all take pictures of your tracking sheets and show us how you're doing.
It's your weekly check-in.
Yay.
Bye.
See you Monday.